I'm Gerhard Elfers. Welcome to the program. Friedrich Merz has said that Germany could start airdrop missions into Gaza as early as Wednesday. The German Chancellor made the announcement after holding talks in Berlin with Jordan's King Abdullah. Merz said that two of the country's aircraft were already on their way to Jordan. He called Israel's decision to lift some aid restrictions an important step, but added further ones must follow quickly. Merz acknowledged...
We're working together on airdrops, and by that we mean the dropping of humanitarian supplies from the air. The German Defence Minister, Boris Pistorius, is coordinating this with his Jordanian counterpart. We're grateful for that. This work may only make a small humanitarian contribution, but it sends an important message. We're there, we're in the region, and we're helping.
Merz acknowledged Germany's airdrop offer was small, but said it sends an important signal. The
Jordanian nation, just by ourselves, when it came to airdrops, we are now the third largest country in humanitarian airdrops in the world since 1948 and the Berlin airlift. So I understand that it is not the most efficient way of doing things, but it is something that we can do. But it is pressure on Israel to allow us to get not only to Gaza, but also to the Westbank.
Now, DW's Chief International Editor Richard Walker is following that story for us. Richard, we've just heard Chancellor Friedrich Merz and King Abdullah speak at the press conference following their talks. What more did we learn?
Yes, so Gerhard, we've got some details about this announcement that Merz had made the previous day that it would be joining airdrops, working together with the Jordanian side. So he said, as we just heard, that the two German military planes, two A400M, so these kind of large military transport planes, were in the air at the time that he was speaking, and that they're en route to Jordan. And he said that he expected that at the latest they would be able to be taking part in airdrops by the weekend, but in the best case, if everything goes quickly, then potentially even tomorrow. But I think it is important to stress that both Friedrich Merz and King Abdullah in their comments were very conscious about the limitations of airdrops, not trying to claim that airdrops in some way sort of solve the situation. Far from it, that they are really, as King Abdullah put it, a drop in the ocean, that what is really needed is a much greater access for aid trucks to get aid in onto the ground. And of course, not to mention the fact that airdrops, dropping large containers and kind of packages of aid from the air, of course, can be hazardous to those on the ground. So there are all sorts of downsides to going down this route. But I think both of them very much with the message that they have to do something while this situation continues to worsen.
Now, Western countries, including France and the US, are increasing pressure on Israel. Where does Germany stand on this issue?
Yeah, it has been interesting to kind of track the movement that we're seeing here as those reports out of Gaza about the worsening of the situation, now warnings of famine coming in, how the Western friends of Israel have been moving. We saw Donald Trump just yesterday in Scotland for the first time saying that, yes, he saw what was happening among some people as starvation. So that was certainly something new coming from the Americans. You've had the French really quite far out front, saying that they're going to recognise a Palestinian state later this year. So the French kind of pushing furthest. We've had the UK also considering that. There's a debate within the UK government about that, but also the UK imposing sanctions on two far-right members of Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet. We've seen the Netherlands also following along that kind of route. Now, if we look at Germany's position, Germany traditionally has always been very hesitant and cautious about criticising Israel, given, of course, its historical debt to Israel over its responsibility for the Holocaust. But you have seen in the 3 months or so that this new government has been in place here in Germany, a gradual kind of ratcheting up of the criticism, as you get a sense from German leaders that they're getting more frustrated that the Israeli government is not taking sufficient action on this question of aid. And the latest statements that we've had from Friedrich Merz, first yesterday, on Monday, and now in this press conference today, sort of indicate a further movement that he is strengthening his language, that he's becoming more stridently critical of the Israelis, and also he's opening the door to Germany actually taking concrete measures potentially against Israel, potentially within a context of European Union action. So that's going to be something we're going to watch out first for. But first of all, the Foreign Minister of Germany will be heading to Israel. That's expected this week. And then a joint trip by UK, French and German foreign ministers seen as a possibility next week.
VW's Chief International Editor Richard Walker there. Thank you, Richard.